Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to swap out a injection pump for an upgraded pump without having one of those fancy Mercedes timing tools. And this is kind of the low-tech method of doing it, but this is procedure most people go through. Now, an upgraded pump usually will be advanced a couple degrees, so what I'm telling you is not for a stock replacement. Okay, the first thing you need to do is find out where you want to take the old pump out. Now, normally it would be 4.5 degrees after top dead center. So if we look right down through here, you'll see the timing tab. Now, you would want to rotate that on a stock pump to the roughly 14.5 degrees after zero, or top dead center, and then you would pull out your pump and you put a stock replacement in. However, like I said, we're going to be a couple degrees advanced, so how do you know what stroke you're on? Right, there's 2 engine cycles to get to top dead center. Well, I am not to top dead center yet, but if we look inside the breather cap here, you will see a little dot on the cam, and that dot is going to be right here, and I'll shine a light in again so that you can see it. Okay, so you can just see a little indentation. Now normally, let me zoom out so it'll focus, those dots on both cams would align perfectly with the valve cover off, and you would see that they are in alignment. That is where the cams should be positioned when you're at top dead center. But you don't need to take your valve cover off. As you rotate the crank, you can see my wrench down there on the crank pulley, always go in a clockwise direction. If you go counterclockwise, the chain will want to come back up and it'll create slack in here, and things will, you'll have to go around several revolutions to fix that, or you could actually loosen the crank pulley, which can lead to catastrophic results. So as you're going clockwise, you'll see this little dot, but you'll see it start to come around, and that's the end point where you need to start watching your timing tab. Okay, so now you have the engine in the position that you need for your pump installation. Taking the old pump out, don't worry about things, the position of the pump right now, because you're only worried about putting in the new pump. So all you need to do at this point is go ahead and take out all the bolts all the way around for your vacuum pump. You need to take off your intake manifold. You need to take off the injection lines. Those are 14 millimeter. I believe the fuel lines on the side here are 17 millimeter banjo fittings. You might have cruise control or other junk behind the pump back there. You can take that off. And with everything removed except the pump itself, now you can come in, and inside there is a big gear inside the crankcase cover, and it has a reverse threaded bolt. I think it's 17 millimeters, not sure. It is, again, reverse threaded. Very important. Don't break it off. Go ahead and take that out. And then you have 3 additional bolts, and I'll show you on a pump that's outside the car. But basically they screw through to these nuts. So as you take those bolts out, these nuts will fall. You'll need them because, as you can see, they're, it rests up against a slot. They're kind of no wrench required once you get them started. Okay, so with all 3 of those out, now you can slide the pump backwards out of the timing gear, leave the timing gear in the engine. Make sure the gear stays on the chain so you don't have any position change in the chain. That's very important, and everything should just lay in place unless you mess with it too much. And then you can slide the pump back, take it out of the car. Next we come to reinstallation. So let's go look at a 602 pump that I have outside the car, and I can use it as an example. Okay, so here we have a 602 pump. This is the gear that stays in the engine. Right, again, you'd have to work at it to get it out. If you just don't mess with it and leave it there, you're all set. However, you'll have to figure out how to rotate this shaft without marring it up. Maybe you want to wrap it up in tape. Maybe you want to wrap tape around a pair of channel locks. I would not grip it with vice grips. It's too easy to put too much torque on it. But you'll need to turn this so that the shaft or the blade inside the pump, watch for it to come around here. There you go, you can see it right there. But the idea is you turn it until you get this knife edge coming straight up and down. Then you take your tool here, your lock, and you lock this groove onto that knife edge, and you screw it down. Now these are independent parts, and what that means is you can see the groove here matches the groove on the back, so you can lock it on and screw this in place, and then it will literally lock your pump. So once you do that, go ahead and insert your pump. Make sure you slide that pump in straight, because if you put it in crooked and you try and use the bolts to pull it in, you will break these tabs off the pump. I've done that, and it's a horrible feeling, and unfortunately there's nothing you can do except replace the pump. That pump needs to be seated all the way against that timing case cover before you tighten those bolts down, or it may break.